In view of the fact that these matters are still under investigation, I will not go into the details as I have done with, the case of Eduwahi. But I can confirm that investigations will conclude in the National Service and Skytrain scandals by the middle of April for prosecutions to begin. In the National Service scandal, 8 suspects have been interrogated, and a good number of them have started singing. They've, they are cooperating with our investment. No, they started singing, literally. Yeah. So we will give you details of their songs at the appropriate time. In view of the fact that, so indeed, we now have evidence of payments that were made to the accounts of the top executives of the National Service by vendors, private vendors, and staff of the scheme. We also have evidence that in November 2024, and listen to this carefully, the CEO of the National Service Scheme and others paid a Ghanaian MP to kill the story in the media and to defend them. Now this is a developing story, and more will come out very soon. In respect of Skytrain, we can confirm that the 2 million was paid at the request of the chairman of the board of directors of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, that is GIIF, Prof. Ameya Ekufi, and then the CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, who is currently hiding in Senegal. We tracked him first and noticed that he was in South Africa. So he left Ghana somewhere around February 2nd, the 2nd of February, to South Africa. So we were monitoring him in South Africa. And then he left South Africa and is now in Senegal. When we contacted him, he told us that he will not come to Ghana until I think he didn't say April, 3 months from now. Okay, so he's given us 3 months to come to Ghana, very much like Ken Ofori-Atta, right? It reminds me of Ken Ofori-Atta. So he says he will come to Ghana in 3 months. So we are patiently waiting for him. If he wants to be tried in absentia, that is his choice to make. But we have the prosecutorial authority to prosecute him in absentia, and of course he's the person who acted with him to transfer that money. The Prof. Ameya Ekufi is in the country. So if there is going to be delay, we'll start the prosecution with him being a suspect who is being tried in absentia. So on the Skytrain, we noticed that there was no board approval for the transaction, and the conditions precedent to disbursement had not been met. The other board members and our review of the minutes of the board of directors have confirmed this fact. So we requested for all the minutes, of the board of directors within the period that this transaction occurred. And our perusal of the minutes show quite clearly that there was no board approval. Also, the interrogation has revealed, that the other board members said that they did not have knowledge of this transaction. In fact, there was one of the minutes where one of the members questioned why the GIF was in a hurry to make payment for this transaction. And no, answer of any significance was given to him by the 2 persons who, schemed and transferred $2 million of taxpayers' money to a Mauritius company. In fact, we tracked the company to Mauritius, and the lawyer in Mauritius has confirmed to us that it is non-existent. But that's also, a developing story. Now, the money, you see, if you are buying shares in a company, you are buying shares in a company, that's your equity contribution to that company. The money is supposed to be paid into the shares account of that company. But the money was given to Africa Investment Holdings. Okay? And when it was paid, we noticed that Africa Investment Holdings was paid 100,000 United States of American dollars as the GIF's contribution to equity. And then listen to this: 1.9 million was paid to Africa Investment Holdings as share premium. Now, when you are paying for share premium, for those of you who are accountants and lawyers, well versed in corporate law, share premium is not paid for nothing. It is paid for the performance of the company or the growth of the company and so on and so forth. So the company must have a certain track record. Okay? But maybe they know something that I do not know. And in the course of investigation, we know why. Maybe there is some other principle for paying a share premium, to a company and SPV that you just incorporated. Alright? And I believe that the accountants will confirm that with share premium, it's easy for the directors to take the money than when it is the share, when the money is in the actual share account. So they can tell you that this was done with some criminal enterprise, in mind. But again, I'm not prejudging anything. If we come across evidence, okay, that shows that they are innocent, I will not go to court. I told this country that I will not take anybody to court unless I am convinced that there is evidence to prove the guilt of the person beyond reasonable doubt. And as I've laid out, you can tell from what we have done. And I must thank the Economic and Organized Crime Office, the director, and especially the deputy director in charge of operations, Raja. He led the operations. And on a weekly basis, we met God briefings, himself, myself, and my deputy, and the team. We got briefings. We didn't talk about it. So I want to let you know that when I'm investigating something, I will not give media interviews. Okay? Because when you grant media interviews on the investigations that are unfolding, right? Unless you have grasped the evidence like I now have on SkyTrain and SkyTrain and then the National Service Scheme. Okay, those significant progress has been made, and I believe that if I took those two cases to court, I will obtain a conviction. That is why I'm telling you about them. The free Wi-Fi, okay, and the rest of them are still under investigation, so we're not going to be talking about them. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic, observed that the entire country was a crime scene, he knew what he was talking about. Some people bashed him for it, but the President knows because I brief him on a constant and a regular basis on what is happening with respect to our investigations. We are working diligently on several dossiers that will shock the conscience of the nation. If what suspect Edu Bonyi and his wife has done is like a trailer in Manila, please brace yourself for a rumble in the jungle in the next few weeks. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So the agenda will now field questions from journalists present and media representatives. In order that we have an orderly approach to work with, if you have any question, please put up your hand. I'll call you and then you step up to ask. We'll take 5 questions at a time. 2 rounds of 5 questions. So please step forward if you have a question. There's a microphone behind you, please.
Thank you very much. Honorable Attorney General, my name is Darrell Alantego from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. In not too distant weeks gone, the Deputy Attorney General answered a question, and it appears to me that the AG is under a certain pressure to go to.
So he should desist from aligning law enforcement officers and myself for the work that we are doing. He should also take cognizance of the fact that I am the leader of the bar. And I will act in the best interest of the ethics of the profession. So I won't do anything unethical. And I have advised both EOCO and national security about staying within the bounds of the law in conducting investigations. So he should not abuse his parliamentary immunity by libeling or defaming public officials who are conducting normal, legally sanctioned public business. Now, with respect to freezing audits, we are notifying all the banks today. You see, the gentleman who asked about the freezing audits. Note that because of the way this gentleman, the suspect, is very highly networked, if a letter had gone out before today to any bank, there would have been swift movement of money, and there would have been, other suspects would have been alerted to the fact that. So yes, we obtain all the accounts. For purposes of our investigation, officially, and for purposes of prosecution, we will now obtain what we take into court by writing to each of the banks to give us that for our prosecution. Is there any question that I have not answered? Alright, so if there are any more questions, this will be the opportunity. This is the point. 5 more, please. I haven't had breakfast yet. Yes. In the interest of we have to sacrifice your breakfast and lunch as well. Good morning. My name is Michael Malby. I report for Senate Radio Online. Honourable Minister, you mentioned that suspect Edubuahin and the wife have acquired several properties. I want to know what steps are being taken to avoid the possibility of suspect and the wife disposing all those properties in order to disrupt evidence gathering. Thank you. My name is Kwesi Komisan, editor of Punch Africa. I would like to know if suspect Edubuahin, if your outfit is able to retrieve the money he has stolen, allegedly stolen. Will you still prosecute him or incarcerate him? Thank you very much. My name is Justice Aduboy. I work for the Sugar News Agency. Yes, there's always been this issue about confidentiality concerning national security spending, and people have, asked for more transparency in national security spending. And the investigation, so have you been able to identify, some of the loopholes that these suspects may have exploited to grab state money like that? Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mr. Alain. I work with EIB Network, K20 and Star FM. Honorable Neo, in you answering one of the questions, you did indicate that, in fact, you touched on Dr. M.S. Addison's search. One of the issues that came to the fore was the fact that CCTV cameras in the home were destroyed by the men who visited the house. Can you give us some clarity on what actually happened? And number two, on Edubuahin, you did indicate that you have ordered that he be released and rearrested in the hope of getting him remanded. Is it certain that when he's taken to court, he'll be remanded as to what happened? Thank you. So just briefly on his last question with respect to the search, there have been conversations in the media about the former BOG boss having backdoor CCTV footage, which has been the subject of quite a conversation. You've provided some details with respect to the
alleged reported raid. Can that be clarified as well with respect to what really transpired? And then you mentioned the former finance minister. At the last press briefing we held, you said you were going to have a conversation with the OSP with regards to that investigation. Have you had that conversation? And I don't want to say, have you given the green lights because of independence and all of that? But what did the conversation also arrive at?
Good morning, Honorable Minister. My name is Anna Poku for the Searchlight. I agree with you that white collar crimes are very difficult to prove, and sometimes it's a long time, very long haul. And sometimes the steam of the case gets people just forget about them. They are aware that some cases are still pending for about 5, 6, 7 years. What is the dispatch that you're going to apply to make sure that these people will face justice and justice will be done?
Okay, thank you very much. On the first one, regarding steps being taken to prevent the suspect and the wife from disposing of assets, one of them is the fact that we detain them. We seize their phones. They're not, in communication with the outside world. This is the first time there were some people who knew, and there were reports of the arrest. Very few people knew what the arrest was about. In fact, some people called me and thought it was in relation to the issue regarding the Emirates ladies. I mean, they are the country manager of Emirates. But that is it can happen. One is we get him a reduced sentence, so he stays for a shorter period in jail than would have been because he's looking at a maximum of 25 years in jail. He was born in 1981. Alright? He is about 44 years old. The wife is 34. She was born in 1985. Or 82 or thereabout. So she's 34. So you can imagine doing 35, 34 plus 25 if they get the maximum. Okay? So she will come out at an advanced age of 59. She'll be 59 by the time she comes out of jail. Alright? So if they want to cut the deal and return all the proceeds, we're willing to let them go. Go to jail for a reduced sentence, or for the best scenario for them is for them to work and return all the proceeds. Alright? So I'm open-minded when it comes to these issues. So if they want to do a deal again, they should make an offer through their lawyers immediately after charges. They should make an offer through their lawyers, and I'll be willing to look at it because that is the essence of the plea bargaining regime under the under 30 as amended. Now, the question of confidentiality and national security. You see, the reason why national security expenditures are kept confidential are many. But one is that if, for instance, you are conducting surveillance and you want to give somebody money, okay, to conduct surveillance on a Saturday, do you want to go to the bank and do a check in the name of national security and give it to the person that should go and then, cash the check and, conduct the surveillance? Also, if expenditures are overexposed, investigations will also be equally overexposed. Alright, that is one of the other reasons why national security expenditures are done confidentially. So, for instance, I don't know whether you have ever seen the Parliamentary Committee on Interior or Finance or the Public Accounts Committee grilling national security publicly. Have you ever seen that? Because the tradition all over the world is that their expenses, are done, confidentially. Right? And if briefings are to be given to, let's say, the finance minister or the person in charge of our, treasury, they have to also be done, confidentially. And so I support that. The few rogue elements like suspected Ubonyi should not, let us, breach national security protocols
should remain confidential. Now, regarding the investigator knows that the hard drive is what stores, it is the memory, it is the brain box of the CCTV camera. The camera is a mechanism for transmitting images or getting the images. But when it obtains the images, they are then stored in the hard drive. And it was the hard drive that we took, or the national security operatives who went to his house took. That is standard. It's standard in any investigation. Right? So, for instance, if the intelligence report was with respect to some items, of significance in his house, right? If there was a movement of those items, the only way by which we will get to know is by reviewing the memory of the CCTV system, and that is contained in the hard drive. So that is what we took. So those who are saying that we went and took CCTV cameras, are mistaken, and they are being mischievous in whatever they are doing with that information. I think there was another question by the same person regarding rearrest. Okay, so the question was whether when we rearrest, am I sure that the court will remand him? Now, that is a burden on me when I make the application to the court to show quite clearly that he's a flight risk. Now, all of you and my fellow countrymen and women listening and watching to me, from all the details that I have given with respect to the plans that he made to escape surveillance, if you want, such a person to be roaming on the streets, okay, whilst investigations are going on, then you run the risk of him escaping. And I told you that Mr. Samoa, the CEO of GIF, is playing hide and seek with us. I'm sure from Senegal he'll go somewhere else. And usually what they do is that